Welcome to a special video edition of Convention Prep 101. This was an idea for a panel I wanted to do at a con, but the last couple of times I tried to do this, uh, no one showed up for it. Uh, First time I did this panel, I was at Furthermore. It's that new convention which is down in Maryland. I did this for the first time ever last year at that con. Got a few people showed up for that, and from what I heard, from the responses, it went really well. Uh, I tried doing this at Method Fermi last year, but sadly no one showed up for that. Then I recently tried doing this at Furthermore for this year, but no one showed up for that either, which is very discouraging because this was something I really wanted to do. So I've decided to do like a short video version of what I would do in terms of hosting this panel. The reason, what I'm planning to do is Convention Prep 101 basically is a discussion to discuss tips and advice on how to plan to go to a convention. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. This is just to show you some of the topics I was going to bring up. It's a little different because obviously I'm not at a convention. I'm in my room, in my own house. But just to show you some of the stuff that we would discuss, and hopefully in a future convention, if there is time for it, I might be able to do this again. I really don't know. Like I said, the last couple of times I tried to host a panel, no one showed up for it, which is a little disheartening for me. But but I decided to do something about it instead of just sitting around moping about how unsuccessful I am at hosting a panel. I'm just going to do a video of it and post it online, see what you guys think. Some of the topics we'll be going over, mostly how to get time off, to go to a con, choosing one you want to go to, stuff that you should pack, and of course travel tips, whether you're planning to fly, take the train, or drive. That's a huge thing. We'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, let me just get into about how long I've been doing going to cons. I've been going to conventions since 2001, so I've been to quite a few. Not really a whole lot of conventions. I've mostly been to only a couple. I've been to Anthrocon, I've been to FAU, I've been to Method Fermi, I've been to Furfright, and of course Furthermore. In fact, to prove that to you, yeah, look at all this. These are just some of the Anthrocon badges I got. Look, this one up top, yeah, 2001, very first time. It's the first time I've been there. In fact, this badge right here, for 2005, that was the first time I went by my persona's name, Flash Timberwolf. That's when I first used it. And a few others from AC. Here's 08, 09, 2011, and last year's, 2013. And some of the other conventions that I've mentioned, there's FA United, that's one from 2010, 2011, and these are from Method Fermi. I've been going there since 2010. That was the first time I've been there. It's really, really fun, small convention. I love going there. And these are my two from Furfright. There's 2012 and last year's, which was sadly the last time Furfright was there. But I heard something new's coming up in October for that time. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, just to give you a general idea, I haven't been to a whole lot of conventions. And speaking of which, here's Furthermore. 2013, this is over here, and there's 20, and this was this year's. Because Saturday was the only day I could go to those cons, because it was the only time I was available due to my busy schedule. But okay, getting to that, that's what I want to lead off with. Okay, so you want to go to a convention. The first thing you got to realize is that, look, if you had the time and the money to go to any convention that you wanted to go to, you could. However, as adults, you have responsibilities that you have to maintain mostly at your job. This is the first thing that you should consider before going to a convention. You want to pick one that you really, really want to go to. So that way you'll devote most of your time off you got from your job or school or whatever else you're doing right now to go to that. If you want to do more than one convention, you have to utilize your time off wisely. Like, to show you an example, for me this year, because I work a full-time job, I don't have a whole lot of time off for the year because I just started working full-time. Uh, I only get 1 week vacation and 2 personal days. That's it. Uh, it is paid vacation, but I only get 1 week off because I've only been at this job, for full time for like about a year. So what you want to do is you want whatever most time off you have, you want to devote that to go to the convention. You really have your heart set on going. Like, for example, I really want to go to Method Fermi, which is down in Olive Branch, Mississippi, which is during Labor Day weekend. So what I did was I took the 1 week I took off for the year and took the last week of August, so I can fly down to Memphis for the con, and I can go back home on Labor Day because I got that day off. Now, it's tricky trying to get time off because usually when they give you like a week or 2 weeks, depending on how long you've been at your job, it usually goes from like Monday over. Just to give you an example, usually you have to start with Monday and go all the way here. That's your week. You can't like take like a couple of days off here and then do a couple of days here the next week. That's not really a week. You have to start with Monday and go over. That's usually a problem because cons take place during the course of a week, and it goes from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So sometimes you may have to use like your personal day to take off either the day before or the day after a con, depending on how you're planning to get there. There's a couple factors in that when choosing time off. You have to figure out when the convention is, where the convention is, and how you're planning to get there. If you're planning to drive, are you going to fly? Is someone going to give you a ride? Are you giving someone a ride? These are all things you have to consider. How long is it going to take you to get there? How long will it take for you to get back? And how long you're planning to spend there? Because remember, you don't want to waste all your time off on one convention, especially if there's one later on in the year that you really want to go to. Like I said, well, this year in particular, 2014, is a bit tricky because, well, Anthrocon for this year is during the 4th of July weekend. The problem is a lot of people at my job requested time off around that holiday because the 4th of July is on a Friday this year. Now, I have Friday off, obviously, because it's a holiday, but, I don't have any time off around that. So, sadly, I may have to leave, the con on Sunday, which is a pain because traffic is horrible on the PA Turnpike heading east. But, I'll rant about that later. But for now, these are things you have to consider, depending on what your job policy is on time off, whether you get a week, 2 weeks, whether you're part-time, full-time. Like, if you're full-time, you do get paid time off, but you don't get a whole lot. It depends on, seniority or how long you've been there. Or, if other people requested that week off and you need it, there's a very good chance that that person who's been there longer than you will get that time off and you probably won't. Like I said, it depends. Depends on your job situation. If you're part-time, you can probably take like all the time off you need. The problem is you don't get paid, unless you do get paid time off. Like I said, it all depends on your job policies. This is something you really need to consider if you're planning to go to a convention. You got to use your time off wisely. A lot of people don't. That's why most people go broke in a convention because they spend too much time off. They spend more time going to cons than they do spend working. Okay, this is something, as adults, you have to maintain your responsibilities, especially around your job. So that's some of the things you want to discuss with that. Alright, so you pick your convention. Now packing, what do you bring with you? Well, clothes, obviously. Some people don't pack enough clothes. Usually I see people wearing the same exact shirt and pants all 3 or 4 days they're there. You gotta pack a little bit more than that. Okay, you got at least 1 or 2 shirts. It's good to pack light. I usually do that. Usually I bring like, 1 or 2 shirts with me. I always pack like an extra pair of socks. Underwear, obviously, you gotta have clean underwear. Okay, our mothers have been telling us since we were little kids. All right, it's something you have to do. Usually I try to pack light. I usually bring 1 suitcase and 1 book bag I usually have with me. If you ever see me at conventions, I usually have my big red backpack that I usually bring my wolf plushie with. That's what I usually have with me, whenever I'm walking around a convention. All the other stuff I pack is in my suitcase. Sometimes I have a smaller one, if I don't have much stuff with me or if I'm not going to be away for that long. That's one of the things I try to do. So you make sure all your stuff. Make sure you pack enough clothes for you. Make sure you have clean clothes with you. Obviously, toiletries. Soap, toothpaste, deodorant. You need it. Okay, a lot of you guys really need it. I know a lot of you don't like hearing it, but look, like I said, we're adults. You should be able to take care of yourselves. We should not be able to be told this again and again. You should know this by now. All right, you got to bring that stuff with you. And let's see, other things to pack with you. In terms of electronics, a lot of people bring their laptops, your cell phones, your portable game devices. Make sure you bring all your chargers with you. Uh, well, example, what I usually bring with me here is some of these six-pronged, wall sockets right here. So that way you can plug in multiple devices, your chargers for your phone, your MP3 player, your laptop, your game system, whatever you bring with you. You plug this into the wall, and if other people need to charge stuff, they can use this as well. This is always a good thing to have with you. Uh, like I said, always remember to bring your chargers and stuff with you. Uh, art supplies. If some of you guys might be artists, some of you might bring like one or two sketchbooks with you. I usually do that. Sometimes I bring one. Sometimes I bring two. I usually keep one if I want to draw something when I'm at the convention, or when I bring my other one in case I want to get a commission from someone in a dealer room or an artist alley. It's always good to have that. Pens, pencils, sharpeners. Some artists might know a little bit better than that. They bring like all their art stuffs, with them. They know better about how to pack that stuff than I do. I'm just sort of an amateur with that. It's always good to have. Now, fursuits, I don't know too much about traveling with a fursuit. Usually I have a volunteer who takes care of that because, he or she would know, the proper way to pack a fursuit, especially if you're bringing one with you on a plane. From what I've heard from seeing other videos, always make sure it meets TSA regulations because, people will go through your suit. They will go through your bags, and I heard you should leave a little note with them, letting them know there's a fursuit in there, it's fragile, please be careful with it. Like I said, there's other videos that explain that better than I could, but that's always a good thing to consider. Yeah, so that's stuff to pack with you with some other stuff. Let's go with my notes. Okay, travel. This is another big thing. Like, okay, so you got your convention picked out, you're all packed, you're ready to go. So how are you going to get there? Well, one thing, there's flying. Always, if you're planning to fly to a convention, you always want to book as early as you can. Right, this is why it's always a good idea to pack early, to get your stuff together early. Always plan early, always plan ahead. Once you do, try to book your flight because the earlier you do it, it's usually cheaper. I think that's how it goes depending on where you go. I think places like Orbitz or Hotwire, or if you go to the airline's website, depending on how much it is, try to get as early as you can because if you wait too late, usually they charge a little bit more. So you always want to plan for that. Of course, if you're taking the train, like I said, try to book early if you can. Know where the station is. Some hotels do offer shuttle services from the hotel to the airport or the station. If they do, they always tell you should call at least a day before you leave. Like most convention websites will tell you that. You have to call within 24 hours before they head out. So I need to be picked up at the airport. Can you come get me? Like I said, most sites do offer that. And some people do go by bus. I personally don't recommend doing that because one time I did go by Greyhound to go to Anthrocon. I'm never doing it again. It's not comfortable. But if you have to, know where the station is. Know where you'll be picked up and dropped off and stuff. Well, like for Anthrocon, for example, you got the train station and the bus terminal is like a block or two from the main hotel. So a lot of people do use public transportation with that. So like I say, if you're going by plane, train, or bus, try to book as early as you can. As soon as you got, you're all planned out. You say, oh, I want to go to this convention. Start booking and start saving up because it is costly. Other form of transportation. This is the big one that I really want to discuss. Driving to a convention. Some people do not know how to properly maintain their vehicles. Now, I am not a professional mechanic, okay? Everything I'm telling you, from the beginning of this video is all based on experience. It's just stuff I want to share. I'm not a certified mechanic. See, I'm a comedian, not an auto tech. Okay, it says comedian, not mechanic. See, I'm holding a microphone, not a wrench. So, like I said, it's based on experience. Like, my grandfather, he runs a transmission shop in Autobahn. My dad is a part owner of Cotman Transmissions up in Willingboro. Everything I know about auto maintenance, I learned from them. How to change your oil. How to properly check all your fluids and stuff, which is stuff you need to do. If you're planning on driving to a convention, please make sure your vehicle is in good condition before you leave. There are a lot of things you need to consider. To give you an idea, I usually consult the repair manual. Yeah, because I drive a '96 Corolla, so this is basically what I use, and this is almost what my car looks like. Just kind of like that. Just to give you a general idea of stuff that you should check before before driving to a convention, because obviously check all your fluid levels first before you take off. Make sure your oil level's good. If you need to get it changed, you have to do it every 3,000 to 4,000 miles. Especially with older vehicles, those have to be maintained carefully. Newer vehicles, you don't really have to do much work to it, but still, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on them. Check your transmission fluid level. Make sure that's good, because the transmission is a very vital part of your vehicle. I know this from experience. My dad and my grandfather will tell you that if something goes wrong with that, it'll mess up your entire car. So please make sure you get it checked as often as you can. Check your also check your brake fluid levels. I can't talk right now. Yeah, your brake fluid, your power steering fluid, your engine coolant. Always make sure you want to top those off. Usually what I do, especially when I used to own older vehicles, you always want to have like a thing of oil or a thing of transmission fluid that I usually keep in the trunk of the car in case you run a little low and you need to top it off. If you're going on a really long road trip, it's always a good idea to check those constantly. Wheels and tires. Make sure your tires are in good condition. Make sure the treads on your tires are good. If they're worn, you either need to get them rotated or you need to get a new set. And always make sure the air pressure is good. Make sure they're properly inflated. You should. It's not, well, if you know about cars, it's common knowledge to you. You should know how to read the tire about your size and the maximum amount of psi that goes in there. You gotta make sure you got enough air in there so it'll ride nice. Brakes. Make sure your brakes are in good condition. If they squeal, if they feel a little worn, you may need new pads or new rotors. Your lights. Always make sure your headlights, your brake lights, your turn signals, and your reverse lights. Make sure they all work. Make sure all the bulbs come on. If one of them is out, it's going to be hard to see. And, of course, the cops will get you if you have a brake light out. Trust me. Make sure your wipers are in good condition, too. There is a pretty good chance you might run into bad weather, rain, snow, or whatever. Anything can happen on the way to a convention and back. Always make sure, and the same thing goes with tires. Especially if you hit bad weather, you gotta make sure your tires and your brakes are in good condition. So you'll have decent traction. Make sure your wipers are good, so you have good visibility. Other stuff you need to worry about. If you think your vehicle is unfit for long distance travel, try to get another one. Either rent a vehicle or, try to get a ride from someone else if you can. Everyone who's close. That's another thing. Type of vehicle. Now, usually 3 factors you have to consider about what vehicle to take if you're driving to a convention. You got to make sure your car can accommodate 3 things: you, your passengers, and your stuff. Now, if you're just going by yourself, any car will do. If it's you and a friend, a small car will still do as long as you can fit all your stuff in there. 3 or more people, get something bigger if you can. Look, you can argue this point with me all you want. You cannot fit 5 people comfortably in a Dodge Caliber. I have a story about that, but I'll tell you about that later. My friends will tell you about that. You probably could, but you won't be comfortable. Especially if you have a whole lot of bags you gotta pack, or if someone has like 3 fursuits, you can't fit them all in such a tiny vehicle. You gotta get something bigger. Get like a large sedan or an SUV or a minivan, or I don't know, get a U-Haul trailer. Whatever it takes to get all your stuff there. Gotta make sure, that your vehicle's reliable, that everyone can fit, all your stuff in there is packed properly. A lot of people don't consider that. They think they can just throw it. Yeah, we got room. Just throw whatever you want in there. We'll make it fit. Usually it doesn't. You gotta be a bit more responsible about that. Uh, Also, in terms of getting a ride somewhere, if you're driving someone to a convention, or if you need a ride from somebody, yeah, like most website forums for conventions, there's a place where you can post it, say, hey, I need a ride. I'm leaving on this day. I need to be picked up here. You want to be as descriptive as possible. Like if you need a ride to the convention, you say, hey, my name is so and so. I need a ride to. I'm leaving on this day. Can you pick me up here? I'll pay. I'll help pay. For gas or tolls or parking or whatever. Uh, you always want to tell them where you're getting picked up, what time you're leaving, what day you're leaving, and always include how much stuff that you're bringing. If you're bringing like one suitcase, two suitcases, if you have a fursuit with you, let them know that. Or if you would like to offer a ride to someone, you gotta be descriptive with that. Let them know like what day you're leaving. Uh, Also tell them what type of car you have, because if you're giving a ride to someone and they have like a whole bunch of bags of them, they got their computer, their game system, and they have like two or three fursuits, and you pull up in a Honda Civic, there's a problem. Okay, because I don't think that you and three or more of your friends is gonna fit in there. So if you need a ride, or if you're offering a ride to someone, always try to be as descriptive as possible. Don't be too vague, because because like I said, your car has to accommodate, you, your passengers, and your stuff. Something else you got to consider. Like I said, these are like some of the topics I want to bring up. I'm keeping this short because usually I can condense this to like a half hour. The panel is usually like an hour. I can shorten it to that. But yeah, I'm just leaving it open because I wanted to share something, with other members out in the audience. If they have any questions, comments, stories, if they have anything, please feel free to share. Or if you have anything you'd like to add, or if this is something that you think would be a good idea for a panel, then please leave a comment if you want to. One more thing I wanted to bring up before I close this, and this is a major problem a lot of us have, especially in the furry fandom: budgeting. A lot of us are not good with handling money. This is a huge, huge problem. When you start to plan to go to a convention, that is the exact time you need to start saving. What I usually do is, whenever I get paid, whenever I'm able to get some money, I always try to set aside at least $10 to $20 a week, at the most. So that way you'll have some emergency cash with you. So that way when it's time for the convention, you got all the money you need to cover all your expenses, whether it's gas, tolls, parking, room share, if you're sharing a room with somebody, registration, if you're planning to buy something, at the con, or if, and of course, you need food. That's what I mostly spend my money on these days, is mostly eating. I hardly buy anything unless there's something I really want. That's another thing. That don't just blow all your cash in the dealer room or an artist alley like a lot of people do. It's like as soon as they walk in, they're like, "Shut up and take my money!" No, you got to be a bit more financially responsible. And I know it's difficult, but it can be done. Like I said, start saving as soon as you start playing for a convention. Try to save like a couple dollars a week. I suggest 10 to 20, so that way you'll have more than enough you need when it's time for the con, and also, if there's another convention later on that you want to go to, you'll have some money for that. Only try to spend on what you really need. Like if there's an artist that you really want to commission from on there, as soon as the dealer room or its artist alley, as soon as they open up, you go right to that artist, and you get a commission from him or her. Because if it's something that you really want, I suggest going straight to that. Or if there's something you see in the dealer room, like if there's a comic or a badge or a print that you really want to see, if there's that one thing that you must have, then go ahead and get that. Don't just just spend on anything you guys see. If there's something you really, really want, if there's a commission you really want, then you go straight for that. And of course, mostly, like I said, I spend mostly my money on food because I need to eat. All right, I gotta have something in the morning. I gotta have something in the afternoon, something in the evening. Yeah, because that's what I mostly do. And I suggest doing the same thing. It's just a way of being financially responsible. It's difficult, but it can be done. So that's basically what I wanted to cover. These are some of the topics I wanted to cover in my panel. Like I said, this is my way of dealing with it because this was something I really wanted to do. I like speaking in front of people. I don't have a fear of public speaking. I mentioned that in my stand-up routine when I was at Fur Fright. Hopefully you guys saw that video. If you haven't, I'll put a link to that. Uh, you know, I really would like to do this again. I really do. I just hope people will actually show up this time. If I can't do this at another convention, then I'll try furthermore again next year. Hopefully, I'll have more time off for that. Uh, Maybe I should take time off from work just so I can be there on a Friday, because the only time I could ever be there is Saturday. And today's Sunday. The con will be over in a couple of hours, but there'll be other conventions throughout the year. Like I said, this was something I wanted to share with you guys, and I figured the best way for me to do it, because this was a panel I really wanted to do, so I'll just, go ahead, just make a video, post it online, and see what you guys think. Like I said, if there's anything you want to bring up, anything you want to talk about, feel free to leave a comment if you want to. And that's basically it. Thank you for attending this very informal, homemade, cheap video of Convention Prep 101. My name is Flash Timberwolf. Thank you for watching.